It's a secret. Hey everybody, I'm Virginia with 13 Design. Thank you so much for joining me here today
for episode 7 of our Stick It series. And
it is a secret box or a secret wall hanging, a wall nook, right? Whatever you want to use it for, but it's to store your most precious possessions and nobody's ever gonna know, right? How fun. So we're just gonna use some basic materials. We're gonna make the coolest project ever. So let me show you what the materials are.
So you may have some of these things already on hand, but we're going to start with this cute little wooden box, right? And we've used this before in some of our projects, but today we're going to use it in a very different way. So I'm so excited to show you guys. And we're also going to, of course, be using paint. And of course, we're using one of my 13 Design Decoupaged papers, right? And this is one of my favorite designs. All of them are unique and really help bring something special to your projects. So you can use either chalk paint or acrylic paint, whatever you've got on hand. And I just prefer chalk paint. So you want to make sure you shake it up really good. And I think I'm going to use the brown today because I really like the subtleness of it. And we're going to paint with the grain. Whenever you're painting anything wood, please, 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 you've probably heard me say this before, paint with the grain. Painting against the grain raises up the grain and then it causes it to be rough and it just doesn't lay as nice. So please, 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 I'm begging you, paint with the grain. So I'm going to go around the entire box with a coat of paint. I'm going around the hinges and the locks and all things like that. I could tape them off, but since I'm using a darker paint today and the latches and hinges are a darker color, it's not really going to show up. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint around it. So we're just making sure we get every last little bit of our box here. So once we have that painted, we're going to let that dry. We might hit it with the hair dryer here shortly. But meanwhile, we're going to get started on the picture frame. So the picture frame is something else that you're going to need for this project. This picture frame, you can see, is just slightly larger than the top of our box, and we're actually going to be attaching it to the top of our box. So it needs to be a little bit larger. We're going to go ahead and take off the back. So we're going to bend the little tabs back and just take the frame apart so that we can paint it without getting paint on everything, right? So let's pull everything out here. And you can see this frame came with a nice little piece of plexiglass that has protective sheet. And I'm going to leave that on until we're completely finished with the project because it's just nice to know that my plexiglass is protected. So we're going to set everything aside and flip our frame over here. We could just leave it black if that's the color that you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and paint it with the chalk paint again, just because I want it to match the box. For my particular look that I'm going for, I'm just wanting it to kind of blend with the box, or more so the box blend with the frame. So I'm just going to go around and really carefully get the inside edge and the outside edge and just make sure that all the surfaces that were black are now coated with the brown paint. And again, you can use chalk paint, you can use acrylic paint, use what you have on hand. So once I'm satisfied with my coat of paint, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to hit everything with the hair dryer. You can use a heat gun or a hair dryer, but whatever you're using, keep it moving at all times because you don't want to heat up one area too much and cause bubbles. I do occasionally like to just test the paint by touching it with my finger to see if it's still tacky, but I usually try to make sure that it's pretty dry before I go touching it, because otherwise my fingerprints will be on everything. Not to say that my fingerprints aren't on a lot of my projects if you look closely, but we don't want to do it intentionally. So I'm going to grab my decoupage paper here, and this is the triple print. I've already used one of them on another project, so you can get 3 projects out of one of my triple prints here. And I'm just going to take the paper that was inside of the frame and use that to measure out to see which of these prints that I want to use for the inside. And if I use the smaller one, it doesn't completely fill the frame. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use the larger one. And this will really fill out the frame nice. So I lay this on top. I can kind of see where the image will be in the frame. And then I'm just going to go ahead, instead of using rulers and all that, I'm just going to use the paper and cut around the edge. Then I know for certain it's going to fit in the frame. So let's set these aside. And the back here has a hole, right? The very back of the frame. We are going to cover it with the little piece of paper that came with it and then the decoupage paper, so you won't see the hole. This frame does also have a stand on the back, which we are going to remove because we need this to be glued to the top of our box, so we need it to lay flat. So we don't want the little kickstand on the back there. So not a big deal. Because it's cardboard, we're just going to kind of gently tear it off. It's just connected with 2 little metal pins. And then we're left with 2 little holes. Well, a cute little trick here to fix that. We're going to take the blunt end of our paintbrush and push it down into the hole. And that just kind of pushes the paper down in. And this way we will have a flat surface to glue on the top of our box. See? Easy peasy. Did I just say easy peasy? I'm so sorry about that. So you can see here, it will lay flat then when we glue it to the top of our box. And we're just going to toss out the little kickstand. So as we're getting ready to decoupage onto the paper, and yes, I'm going to decoupage onto the paper because like I showed you, the backing here has a little bit of a hole or little cutouts cut out of the back side of it. So we're going to take our paper and we're going to use Mod Podge glue. You can use, any one of the Mod Podge glues or any decoupage glue that you might have on hand. I'm just using this. I'm going to shake it up. Yep, make sure you're shaking it. We want to make sure things are blended properly so that it adheres properly. And I'm just going to take the little paper. Again, this is the little paper that came in the frame. I flipped it over so the white side is up. And I'm just going to squirt some glue on the top. And we just want a nice even layer, and we want it to be, not super thick, nice thin layer, because we're just attaching paper to paper. Why are we attaching paper to paper? Well, because with the white backing that we're putting this on, it'll really make our colors vibrant and, true to what they're intended to be. We'll just carefully place our decoupage paper onto the little piece of backing paper, just gently pressing it on and smoothing it down. Now, before we move to the next step, we're cleaning up our area, and I'm just, again, going to make sure this is nice and smooth. Now, before we move on to the next step, we're going to hit it with the hairdryer because we want to make sure that it's nice and dry. So it shouldn't take long to get it dry. We just want to make sure that it's not, wet when we're doing this next part. So again, we're going to attach now both pieces of paper that are attached to each other to the backing. And the hole, I want to put it where there's a part of the image where it won't show through. So I'm going to put it where the hat area is on this design because it will hide it. We're going to squirt our Mod Podge again all over the backing. And it will soak in kind of quickly to this because it is cardboard. So we're just going to move quickly and put a nice liberal coat down. And as always, making sure it's nice and even. And then we're just going to take our image and place it on top of the backing. And again, like always, just making sure it's nice and pressed down, nice and smooth. So I'm actually using the palm of my hand to make sure that's done. And then we're hitting it with the hairdryer, just making sure it's dry, feeling for any lumps and bumps. Then we're going to go ahead and glue this to the top of our box. And you can see here how it's all going to go together. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, my camera shut off and I don't have video of me gluing it to the top. So what I actually did was I used the super glue to glue the image to the top. I decided to use super glue just because it sets up quickly. So you can see here I was peeling the protective backing off of the plexiglass. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put a few dots. I'm just going to glue the plexiglass to my image. This is just an extra step because I know I'm never going to be switching the image out or taking the frame off. So I just want to make sure everything is permanently together. And again, using the super glue because it sets up quickly and I know that it's going to hold. So I'm going to carefully put my plexiglass on top. Now, I left the protective coverage on the top just until I had it all together. I don't want glue on my fingers to get all over my plexiglass. So I'm just going to carefully pull that protective piece off. And I'm going to add on to the plexiglass just a little bit more of the super glue. Again, just making sure it all holds together forever and ever. And I just want to have the glue here so that it will hold the frame on. And my darn camera cut again. So what I did was carefully stick the frame on, right? Just lay it on top and push it down. And you can see it's on there really nicely because of the super glue. It sets up quickly. And this is our secret box. Isn't this really, really cool? Now you could have it be a box that sits, or you could have it be a box that hangs. And I kind of like the idea of it being a hanging box, right? But I do want to add some embellishments because I'm going to have it be a hanging box. I kind of want to jazz up my frame a little bit. And this is a step that you can do or not do, up to you. But I'm going to use some of the gilding jewels and I'm going to get some on my little spouncer here and I'm going to put it around the edge of my frame just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. So this is a metallic gilding jewel and you can use a colored wax or even paint. And just to kind of see how it makes the frame really pop and then the image pops, I just think that looks so nice. And look, it opens up and you can store your treasures inside, right? How fun is that? I'm so excited. This is just such a fun little project. But because I'm going to hang mine as opposed to leave it sitting on like a dresser or whatever, I'm going to add a little hanger. And I'm just going to make sure it's centered on my box on the back here because we want it to hang straight. We're going to go ahead and once we have it centered, we're just going to again use my good old super glue. This is coming in handy today. And this little tube is doing this whole project, no problem. In fact, I have extra left. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of the super glue on this little hanger here. And it's just a little picture hanger. So just a super easy step here. And again, because I'm using the super glue, it'll set up quickly so I don't have to worry about it falling off. And we're going to flip it over here, take a look. I'm going to seal up my frame just because adding the gilding jewels, I don't want them to rub off. Once they're set up, once they're cured, they won't. But I just like to make sure that my frame is completely sealed up. And it just helps too when you're dusting or you know, spraying the plexiglass to shine it up after it's been hanging for a while and inevitably gets a little dusty. So we're just putting a nice thin coat all the way around our frame just to kind of seal it up here. And of course, making sure that I'm getting the sides. Don't want to forget those sides. And once I'm done, I'm hitting it with the hairdryer. Again, keep it moving at all times. And of course, once I know it's dry, I can handle it and pick it up here and show you guys. It opens, it's so cute. I have it open to the side because I'll be hanging it on the wall. I can hide my earbuds. My earbuds are always disappearing. My darn family is always stealing them. I'm gonna hide them in here. That way I'll always know where they are and nobody will steal it. And you can see the hangers on there so we can hang it on our wall. And they'll never even know that it's a secret box, right? That's the whole point. It's a secret box. And my earbuds are safe forever. Yay! And obviously you can hide whatever you want inside. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining me here today. You can grab your own decoupage papers at www.13designart.com.